Hello, welcome to today's video of Discovering the Unseen. Today we will be discussing the Sentinelese tribe, one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world. The Sentinelese tribe lives on a North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. This island, located in the Indian Ocean, is one of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Sentinelese have lived on this island for thousands of years, completely isolated from the outside world. It is believed that they are descendants of the first humans to migrate out of Africa tens of thousands of years ago. They have lived on North Sentinel Island for so long that they have developed their own unique culture, language, and traditions. Despite the existence of the Sentinelese, very little is known about them. This is because they are incredibly hostile towards outsiders and have rejected all attempts at contact from the outside world. In 1771, the crew of the Diligent, a hydrographic survey vessel from the East India Company, noted a multitude of lights on the shore of North Sentinel Island. This is the first recorded observation of the island. However, they did not pursue further investigation. In 1880, 19-year-old Maurice Portman, a British officer, led a party to North Sentinel Island and encountered 6 Sentinelese, 2 older Sentinelese, and 4 children, who were avoided by the group for days. Portman kidnapped the 6 Sentinelese and took them to Port Blair, where the elderly couple quickly died from disease, being that they were not immune to the outside world. After doing numerous studies with the children, Portman returned the children to the island with gifts after they had fallen ill and wrote that the expedition was not a success and it would have been better to leave the islanders alone. The returned children brought back diseases that killed some of the tribe, leading the Sentinelese to be hostile toward all visitors. In 1896, an Indian convict landed on the island and was killed by the Sentinelese, sending a clear message of their independence and hostility towards outsiders. The Indian government has declared the island off limits in order to protect the tribe's way of life and prevent the spread of diseases to which they have no immunity. Throughout history, there have been a few attempts to make contact with the Sentinelese, but they have all ended in failure. In 1967, a group of 20 people led by Indian anthropologist T.N. Pandit visited North Sentinel Island to explore and make contact with the Sentinelese. This was the first visit by a professional anthropologist. The team saw several clusters of Sentinelese along the coastline who retreated into the forest. They found evidence of recent occupation in the form of huts, raw honey, pig skeletons, and various tools and weapons. Despite finding metalworking, the team failed to establish contact and withdrew after leaving gifts. On August 2, 1981, the MV Primrose, a ship carrying chicken feed from Bangladesh to Australia, ran aground near North Sentinel Island and became stranded with a small crew on board. The crew sent a distress call after a few days, reporting that more than 50 armed Sentinelese were preparing to board the ship and requesting firearms. The crew defended themselves with makeshift weapons and flares as the Sentinelese tried to reach the ship in canoes but were prevented by rough seas. After nearly a week, the crew were rescued by a civilian helicopter with the support from the Indian Navy. Contact expeditions to North Sentinel Island continued until 1994 and included attempts to plant coconut trees. These missions were then discontinued for 9 years, with the Indian government implementing a policy of no deliberate contact, only intervening in case of natural disasters or to stop poachers. The unlikely reason for termination was the Sentinelese's resistance to contact and the government's concern for their safety from an influx of outsiders. The next expedition took place in April 2003 when the youngest gifted a canoe to visitors. In 2018, an American adventurer, John Chow, tried to make contact and was killed by the tribe. He did not seek the necessary permits required to visit the island. The police arrested 7 fishermen for helping Chow approach the North Sentinel Island. A murder case was opened against unknown individuals, but there was no indication that the Sentinelese tribe would be charged. The U.S. government confirmed that it did not request the Indian government to press charges. Attempts to recover Chow's body by Indian officials were eventually abandoned due to the risk of a dangerous conflict with the islanders. An anthropologist involved in the case stated that it was not worth the risk to continue the efforts. The incident with the American adventurer highlights the dangers of attempting to make contact with the Sentinelese. It is important to respect their way of life and their desire to remain isolated from the outside world. So there you have it, an overview of the Sentinelese tribe. It's fascinating to think about a group of people who have managed to remain completely isolated from the outside world for thousands of years. I hope this video has given you a better understanding of this unique and mysterious tribe. Thank you for watching. Stay curious and keep discovering the unseen.